I appreciate technology and STEM. It's kind of our future with young people, but as far as running this and
well, it kind of drives me crazy a little bit that they teach keyboarding, but they aren't always teaching penmanship. They are not encouraging kids to learn to actually write.
Yes.
And they really discourage cursive writing.
Yes.
Which is the only way you'll know to read
So
historic
a
documents, for
legislator
example.
from Eastern
So
Idaho
how
I
do you
used to
feel
serve
about
with
that?
Representative Lyndon Bateman. And Lyndon Bateman is a high school teacher, was a high school teacher in the Idaho Falls area. And he actually promoted cursive and is a phenomenal cursive writer, a beautiful penmanship, and that we should be doing more of that. And when I say we, the state, to promote that, and it gets a little, what's the term, I don't want to say awkward, but the point is, well, do we want to make laws to do that? Or can we just encourage local school districts through the Department of Education that they should still be teaching cursive?
Right.
And when I was a young student in school, I grew up in Wallace, Idaho, we learned cursive, but children don't anymore. And so it's different times for sure in that regard. But I think it's important to understand that, just for what you brought up, is reading historical documents that are written in cursive. And if they don't see it, understand it, have a hard time reading it, then are they going to be able to study historical documents? Just need to follow. We have a great document. We have the Constitution. I don't think it needs to be amended or it needs to be changed. I can live
What do you
with
think
it.
about bringing civics back into public schools where they have to study that?
We should. We should definitely do that. In fact, Senator Jim Patrick, another colleague of mine that I served in the House and the Senate with, he brought that before the Education Committee a couple of times before it got passed through the whole legislature, to try to encourage that back in schools. So they understand the things that, I'll be 64 this summer, and when I was a young child going to elementary school in Wallace, Idaho, I mean, we learned these things. I don't know why children don't learn these things anymore, like when I was in school.
Oh, I understand that. I have the same problems. Let's talk about homeschool.
Love it.
Do you?
Oh my gosh, Homeschool Statesman of the Year. Russ Fulcher and I, we got the award the same year.
I did not realize that. I apologize for not knowing.
Oh no, I have the plaque hanging in my office. I have it, I think, on my campaign literature, on some of it. Idaho Homeschool Statesman of the Year. Idaho Coalition of Homeschoolers and Christian Homeschoolers awarded me that in 2009. I believe I'm the only one in the race for Lieutenant Governor that's received that award. And the only other one that I know of that's running for office right now would be former Senator Russ Fulcher. We've worked on a number of things together. Russ and I got elected at the same time. Russ to the Senate, myself to the Idaho House. We were both elected in 2004. And we've worked on a number of pro-life issues together. We've worked on homeschool issues together. And Barry and Reese Peters, who are out of the Boise area that work with the Treasure Valley homeschoolers, have been good supporters over the years, and enough to award Russ and I Homeschool Statesman of the Year.
There's a lot of talk about how you can work across the aisle behind the scenes. Have you always found that pretty easy?
No. In the years I was the chairman of the House Education Committee, we were going through the Great Recession and working with the teachers union, because as I said, I was the chairman of the Education Committee. That was not easy at all. And we were instituting students come first. And the teachers union hated it because we were after accountability, and we wanted to have evaluations done to make sure we had good teachers teaching the children in public education the right thing. You know, education's the biggest part of our state budget, by far. Kindergarten through 12th grade, 50% of the state budget. And so we legislators, we're not against paying good teachers more money, so we're not losing teachers to other states. What we would like to see, and what we've pushed to see, is accountability from those teachers. if we are appropriating 50% of our state budget to public education, we deserve to have accountability from the teachers, because that's people's income tax money. That's just not free money. And I remember a specific example, and it was years and years ago, even before the wings were put in the Capitol. So we're in the old and remodeled Capitol, and at that time it was the executive director of the teachers union that said to me, "You give us that money, that's our money." And I said to her, "That is not your money. That is the taxpayers' money. That is not, the state didn't just make that money. They collected that from the citizens of Idaho in taxes. That is the taxpayers' money. And we need to have accountability." So to say working across the aisle, has it always been good? Has it always been that way? No, it has not been. There was another time a Democrat colleague in the Idaho House tried to pull a bill out of committee that I wouldn't give a hearing to, because it was a very liberal education bill. And he challenged me on the House floor, and it was another example, as a chairman, me keeping a bill in my desk drawer. So as I said earlier when we talked about the CBD oil in the homeschool bill from the Senate years ago, that's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it works, and sometimes you wished bills would come out of desk drawers. So it's depending on the issue and depending on who you're talking to. Those children don't belong to the government. They belong to the parents.
Well, how do you feel about forced vaccinations, if you're going to talk on the line of...
Absolutely not. I've always voted against that too.
Okay.
You know, it's up to parents to decide whether they want their children vaccinated, whether they want their children in a traditional public, a public-private charter school, a private school where they get double charged because they're paying property taxes that are supporting public education, and they're paying tuition. One of the other things I've worked on for a number of years, and we've got it through the House a few times, is tax credits for those that want to send their kids to private school. So we can give money, or a person can give money to a scholarship granting organization, which then can award scholarships to low-income families that would like to send their kids to private school.